Look at a map of Africa. You see countries, you see borders, you see capital cities. Well, what if I told you almost all of that is a massive illusion? We like to think we know how the modern world works, right? Presidents rule, laws govern, and nations matter. But across vast areas of the African continent, this is simply a lie. Today in this explainer, we are tearing up the map. We're going to expose the invisible rulers who actually control the lives of millions. So get ready, because your whole geopolitical perspective is about to be completely shifted.
Billions of dollars poured into Africa every single year. Western aid is supposed to be the magic fix, right? We try to build up these national institutions. We fund central governments. Yet extreme poverty just sticks around, and governments repeatedly fail to provide even basic services. Why? Because honestly, we are fundamentally funding a ghost. We're sending all this money to institutions that barely even exist the moment you step outside the capital city.
We're basically projecting this Western illusion onto a deeply complex continent. We see powerful nations with absolute, centralized control over their land, but the reality on the ground is vastly different. These borders, they're literally just lines. Lines drawn on a piece of paper by dead European colonizers. They don't mean a thing to the people actually living there. We keep pushing our Western fantasy onto an ancient landscape, and it is completely failing.
Just look at the data here. Surveys of tens of thousands of people across the continent reveal a cold, hard truth. The idea of the nation is a myth for millions. Only a third of individuals identify solely as a citizen of their country, just 33%. Meanwhile, a massive 40% care only or mostly about their ethnic identity, their tribe. They really don't care about the flag. They care about their bloodline. So if the president isn't really running the show, who is?
That brings us to Section 1, the ignored true rulers, chiefs, not presidents.
We really need to talk about the true rulers here, the traditional chiefs. Sure, presidents sit in fancy capital cities, they sign international treaties and shake hands for foreign aid, but out in the rural villages, the local chiefs hold the real power. They control the earth you walk on, they allocate the land, they settle your violent disputes, they protect the rivers and the forests, they manage survival itself. The central state isn't providing order, the ancient chiefdom is.
Take land, for example. In rural economies, land is absolutely everything, and who decides who gets it? Look at this huge slice of power on the slide. Nearly a third of the time, the ultimate unquestioned authority is a traditional leader, not a federal judge, not a local mayor, a tribal chief. The national government is just entirely bypassed.
And here is the ultimate slap in the face to Western democracy. People simply do not trust their elected local assemblies. They barely even trust the national parliament. But traditional leaders, they absolutely tower over the rest in public trust. People fundamentally trust their ancient chiefdoms way more than modern democratic institutions. They trust their heritage. Modern democracy is losing to ancient tradition. But how do we actually prove this invisible power drives the economy? Well, we can't rely on fake government statistics, so researchers bypass them completely. They looked up.
Let's dive into Section 2, the truth from space. This methodology is pure counterintuitive brilliance. Step 1. Throw away flawed government economic data entirely. Governments lie and bureaucrats tweak numbers. Step 2. Track satellite night lights from orbit, because light means electricity and electricity means raw economic wealth. Step 3. Overlay those glowing modern lights directly onto ancient anthropological tribal maps. We are literally using space-age satellites to track 19th century history. It's amazing.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that nightlights simply do not lie. You cannot fake a glowing city. You can't bribe a satellite sensor. If an area is wealthy and developed, it lights up at night. If it's poor, it's pitch black. This gives us hard, totally unbiased proof of where the actual money and development is hiding. So what exactly happens when we match the modern electrical grid with tribal maps from hundreds of years ago? Get ready for a massive paradigm shift.
Which leads us to Section 3, History Etched in the Night.
The data reveals a massive, undeniable wealth gap. Check this out. Areas where tribes were historically scattered and stateless, they remain relatively dark today. But areas that were ruled by powerful, highly organized ancient kingdoms centuries ago, they are glowing. They are literally 4 times brighter tonight. 4 times the wealth.
The past is not dead. It isn't even past. It is physically carved into the modern electrical grid. The wealth of Africa today is heavily dictated by who held power centuries ago, not by who won the last democratic election.
The ancient empires never truly died, you guys. They just built the modern power grids.
Let's simplify this entire concept down to a single, shocking number: 7%. A single piece of land is 7 percentage points more likely to be glowing with electricity today for one reason only: because a powerful, centralized ancient tribe lived there before colonization. That's it. Ancient history dictates modern electricity. It is totally wild.
And don't think this is just a fluke. This isn't about finding a lucky diamond mine or living next to a big river. The researchers aggressively tested this. They stripped away geography. They mathematically removed resource lock. They controlled for every possible natural advantage you can think of. The data still holds up perfectly. This is hard proof. The ancient social structure itself is the battery powering modern economic growth. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Is this perfect? Can we really trust a map from the 1800s matched with a satellite from 2008?
Let's talk about that in Section 4, Significance and Flaws.
Every study has blind spots, and we need to validate your natural skepticism here. Yes, there are shortcomings in the research. Anthropological maps from a century ago might be slightly flawed. And sure, you can never completely rule out raw geography causing both the ancient empire and the modern wealth. But the breakthroughs here are immense. This completely bypasses fake national statistics to definitively prove ancient tribes run rural areas. Despite the flaws, the core truth remains unshaken. And this leaves us with a completely fractured reality. Africa is basically living two different lives simultaneously. In the capital cities, the national rules apply. You have courts, police, and presidents. But step outside that capital, the illusion shatters. In the vast rural areas, ancient tribal rules absolutely dominate. It's a dual reality.
This quote really sums it up. The research definitively concludes that this ancient effect is strongest the further you get from the capital city. The exact moment you leave the immediate orbit of the national government, you are stepping right back into the jurisdiction of ancient empires. The modern nation-state fades away, and the ancient tribe takes over.
So, I want to leave you with this final lingering thought. We pump billions of dollars into these nations. We treat them like solid, modern states on the world stage. But if a map is just drawn by a dead colonizer and the people living there exclusively obey an ancient chief, does the nation even exist? Think about that the next time you look at a globe. Our entire view of global geopolitics might just be a mirage. See you next time.